In this video, I'm going to show you 3 different types of reporting tools available for you to work with in Dynamics 365. Most of this is also the same if you are using a model-driven Power App. So of course, first up, everybody's favorite Excel, how Dynamics 365 and Excel work together. Very, very easy to export your data from Dynamics 365 and work with it in Excel. Secondly, the native dashboard capability in Dynamics, what we can do there, the types of charts and views and things that are available, and where the limitations are on that, and when we would get to the next level of bringing Power BI into the picture, which is the third thing that we're going to go through. Now, there are 2 awesome new things that I'm going to show you, so make sure you stick around to the end. One is the brand new Deal Manager dashboard that is available, which really levels up that Dynamics 365 dashboard capability. And second is a brand new button that allows you to single click, I'm not kidding, create a Power BI report from a view in Dynamics 365. You don't have to build the report, you press a button, and then how to get those things enabled in your environment if you don't already have them. So make sure you stick around to the end. If you're just here for the new stuff, you'll find the chapter headings below. Just click straight through there. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel if you find this content useful. Let's start by having a look at how Dynamics 365 and Excel work together. What we're looking at here is a view. These are my open opportunities, and we've got a view configured in the system that shows me these particular columns: topic, potential customer, close date, and so on. Your administrator or individuals can set up any kinds of views they want. You can have different views for different purposes. Check out my other video if you'd like to see behind the scenes how you go about doing that. Once you've got the view that you want to be working with in Excel, single click, here we go, boom, and that will just download that file, and that creates an Excel spreadsheet that brings out those columns from that view, and you can go ahead and do whatever you like in terms of analysis there. Now, if you choose a different view, this is my open opportunities view. If I choose something that's a bit different here, my open opportunities scored, this is starting to bring in some sales insights features here that predict how things are going. You'll see I've got different columns. If I click export to Excel here, it's those columns that I'll get. So just work with that however you want. Now, there are some other options here. If I click this little down arrow, you'll see that I can also open in Excel online. This is a really cool thing if you want to be able to update data quickly without having to kind of export import stuff. So we can actually go through here, and let's say I needed to update a bunch of close dates and I wanted to make that one, so this is actually not really going to close until the 31st. I can go in and change that. This is a date column. It won't let me change it to anything other than a date column, so I can go through and do those edits. Really good for a quick data cleanup, and I can save that, and that will just update that data in the background. The other thing I can do with Excel here in this menu is work with dynamic worksheets or dynamic pivot tables. So if you just export something, that's a one-off export, that's done. If I choose a dynamic worksheet or pivot table, what it actually does is creates that Excel workbook with a dynamic link back to the data here. So if you update things here, back in your spreadsheet, you'll be able to click a refresh and it will do that data connection and update the data in there. So very powerful thing you can do with Excel in here. We can also have Excel templates. So this allows you to have built-in reports here. There's a pipeline management one, which is a standard one that's built in, and that will allow you to, again, open your data in Excel. You don't have to go ahead and export it. And this has got some charts and things that have been pre-built in here. It will show me my data in those charts. So you can go ahead and set up whatever charts you like and have that built into the system. I'm going to come back and show you a little bit later, visualize this view in Power BI as well, so make sure you stick around for that. So let's have a look at the Dynamics 365 dashboards. This is the same in model-driven apps as well. This is giving you a really straightforward way of getting simple visualizations and easy insights into your Dynamics 365 data. So this is only working on the data in Dynamics 365. If you want to be comparing with data from your finance system or external systems and so on, that will be Power BI, which we'll come to in a moment. So you'll see here we've got a sales funnel of where our opportunities are up to, a pie chart here showing leads by source. We can do column charts, bar charts, line charts, those sorts of things. So your basic set of chart types are available to you here. We can bring other things in here too. You'll see I've got my relationship assistant here, which is showing a series of cards reminding me about some follow-ups and next best actions. If I switch across to one of the other standard dashboards here, we'll have a look at the sales dashboard. This is starting to bring in views. So we've got, for instance, things that are coming in here. I can see, my open opportunities, and I might have this sorted by the thing that's likely to close the soonest or the thing that's worth the most money. And from here, I can actually click and go straight through into there. The other thing we can do with dashboards is to create columns of cards. So here's one that I've created called a sales call dashboard, which is bringing in, streams, if you like, cards, my tasks, my appointments, my leads, and all of these. Again, I can just click straight through into these and that will take me to the relevant records. So you can do quite a lot with the Dynamics 365 out of the box dashboards. Where you're going to hit a limit though is where you want sophisticated visualizations, rich kind of chart types, other kind of customized things like little numbers on the screen that are going to add stuff up, or bringing in external data sources. So all of those things are where we use Power BI. Now, let's have a look at the two things we just looked at though, because we've got views and we've got charts in here. If I go back to my opportunities, we can use these together. So I'll go back to having a look. Let's have a look at all of the open opportunities in the system here. And there is an option to click this show chart. So I can pop that out on the side. And now I've got a chart that's available to me on that view. And I might say, gee, Magnificent Tomes is doing really well here. Let's click through on that. And then the view on the right-hand side is going to be aligned with that. So you can use those charts and views in tandem in here, and I can choose any other visual that I've got available to me on this table. So I'm looking at top customers here. Let's say instead of that, I want to have a look at my opportunities by pipeline phase. And again, I can click anywhere on this visual and the view on the right will drill down. One last very exciting thing to show you with out-of-the-box dashboards. If you're using Dynamics 365 Sales, we now have the Deal Manager dashboard. This is what it looks like, and we've got my open opportunities here. We've got a nice summary across the top of how many there are, what it's worth, and so on, and then a visualization here which gives me a snapshot of what's going on. I've got my timeline, and each of these bubbles in here is a color-coded bubble that's giving me an indication of how likely the opportunity is to close and what it's worth. So the bigger the bubble, the more the estimated revenue is worth, and the color, green are the ones most likely to close, red are the ones least likely to close. This is using a Sales Insights AI feature called Predictive Opportunity Scoring based on what we've won or lost in the past. So if I come in here, I can see I've got something coming up fairly soon that's worth $100,000, but it has a score of 52. I'm only 50-50 shot of closing this thing. So I can work through my pipeline in this way and get this visibility of what's going on. When I clicked on that, look at this. Here are all of the details about the opportunity. I can see what's going on and I can edit from within here. So let's say, you know what, this has dropped a little bit. This is actually now really only going to be worth $80,000 instead of $100,000. I can go in and change my probability, close date, and so on. I can see my primary contact, add tasks, notes, and view all of those kinds of things in there. And I can actually maintain my pipeline this way. So let's have a look at this one coming up in green a little bit further down the track. When I click on that, I get that here, and I might want to go in and update some of those details. There's a big red one there that's not looking too good. I might need to get onto that as well. So whatever I click on here, I can hover over and see the information. I can click on and work in that window. So this is a whole new experience now of working with dashboards and updating, inline editing those records, including adding activities without even having to lose view of my dashboard and without having to leave that page at all. In the bottom here, I've got all 11 opportunities that are making up this sales pipeline, and I can go through and group these. So I can group them by the customer, by the close date. I can use a quick find here to search for things. I can click through and open those records directly from here if I want. Now, if you're working with a much larger set of data, which actually I do have underneath, we can close this one down. There's actually filters that can be applied to all of this as well. So if I click on a filter, you'll see here I'm just looking at things with a close date. over the next 2 or 3 months, but I could change this to say I only want to see things in a certain revenue range or a certain customer type or any of those kinds of things in there as well, so that you can slice and dice and drill down on that dashboard. This is an absolute game changer in the interface in Dynamics 365 Sales. If you don't already have this enabled, check out a little spot at the end of this video and I will show you how to get that one up and running. And then our other option, if we want to go further than what we can do with the out-of-the-box dashboards, is to use Power BI. So reasons you would be using Power BI, and I do find that a lot of people do want to do this because you can create your own rich visualizations and make it look however you want, brand it to your own color scheme, bring in things like maps and very, very sophisticated visualizations, and also analyze your data across a range of different sources. So that's where you want to bring Power BI into the picture. But then you can bring your Power BI dashboard into Dynamics. So from my experience here as a user, I could have this as my landing page that could be showing me data from lots of different sources. I can drill down, slice and dice and work with that, but I can experience it inside Dynamics even though it's coming from Power BI. Now, I did promise that I would show you a brand new feature where you can just create your own Power BI report with one click. You ready? Let's have a look at this. So we go back to the Open Opportunities view, and here's our button here, Visualize this view. It's as easy as export to Excel, visualize this view. This is a preview feature. There's going to be a heap more coming in terms of capability here from the time that I'm recording it. But for now, here's what we've got. It's going to come up with basically a suggested report. It's going to make up a report that it thinks might be useful to me. This just exists in this context. So you can't take this and save it into Power BI and use it other ways. You still need to use Power BI to do that. But I've got something in the moment that allows me to get good analysis and insights on my data without having to do, well, any work really. You saw I just clicked a single button. Takes a minute or so to come up. Here we go. It's starting to come through now. You'll see that I've got my data options down the side there. So I can actually mix this up and change it so it's able to live work with what I want it to do. So we've got a quick summary here. You'll see it's given me estimated value by estimated close date, estimated value by parent account name, the one by parent account ID, not so useful. That's okay. So what I can do is I've got all of these bits of data available to me here. First thing, I can just untick those and basically ask it to start again. It'll say, what is it that you're looking for? And I might come in here and say, actually the parent account is the thing that I'm most interested in. And you can see even as I hover over these things, parent account ID name, I'll click on that one and it will come through and generate another report for me based on that. Or I could click on close probability. So I can choose these things and it will just sort of keep generating the report. I can also go in here and choose, whether I want count or something else in there. If I choose something that's got the formula thing here, I can go in and choose whether I want the sum or the average or the minimum. So let's sort of go with the, the average close probability or something like that. So you can play around with this and get it to do what you want. And depending on what data you've got underneath in your view, you're going to get some different options in here. So that's it. Dynamics 365 and Excel, Dynamics 365 and Power BI, some awesome out-of-the-box dashboards there, including that new Deal Manager dashboard. Thanks for watching. Stick around and have a look at the setup videos if you need to get those. Otherwise, I hope that's been helpful for you. Now, at the time of recording, this is a preview feature. If you don't see that button in your view, then you need to enable that feature in your environment. You will need to be an admin to do this. So if you don't have permission to do what I'm about to show you, just send this part of the video to your admin and ask nicely. So what we do here, we're in make.powerapps.com. We're going to go over here to the apps menu and then you choose the app that you want to enable it for. This works exactly the same for Dynamics 365 or a model driven app. I'm working in my Sales Hub here in Dynamics 365. We go to this arrow here on the edit menu and choose edit in preview, which opens the, again, currently in preview experience for building an app. Settings over the side here, features, and here it is here, enable Power BI quick report visualization. We toggle that one to yes and click save. Now, one final step here, publish, and then you will find that it will come up in the menu bar and the toolbar for any of your views. If you don't see the Deal Manager dashboard in your environment, it is something you need to enable as a preview feature at the moment. You're going to enable that within your Dynamics 365 settings. So we're going to switch in the bottom section here from sales into app settings. Again, if you don't have access to this, ask your administrator nicely, and you will find that you've got the Deal Manager settings option over here. First thing you need to do is to say, yes, we would like to get started with this. And this is going to set it up and enable that preview feature. And it's also where you will find the options for what you can do with it. So you'll see now I've got my preview enabled. I can define who has access to it. So I'm going to let everyone have access to it, or you can define certain security roles. You might only want your salespeople to have access to it and not other people in the area. And then we've also got some options here around the charts and how you want to enable those. So have a play with those settings depending on how you would like the experience to work.